This is the second set of notes for Unit 1, for Unit 2 about carbon compounds, the molecules of cells. This particular one is about carbohydrates. Carbohydrates get their name from their basic formula, CH2O, which shows that they're made of carbon and water, and hence the name carbohydrate. The monomers, or the small molecules that go together to make the larger molecules, are called monosaccharides. Mono means one, saccharide means sugar. Generally speaking, monosaccharides have the basic CH2O formula, meaning that they have twice as many hydrogens as oxygens and about the same number of carbons as oxygens. Many have the same molecular formula but different structural formulas, which means that they have the same atoms in the molecules, but they're put together differently. These monosaccharides are the main fuel molecules for cells. Glucose is the most commonly used one in most cells. There are other monosaccharides that can be used, and they work similarly to glucose as a fuel for cells. This picture shows the comparison in the structural formulas of two monosaccharides very commonly used in a lot of different sugars, glucose and fructose. On the left you see the picture of glucose. In glucose you see that the carbonyl group is located on carbon number 1 at the very end of the molecule, which makes glucose an aldehyde type sugar, an aldose. Fructose has the same carbonyl group, but it's on the second carbon instead of the first carbon, which makes fructose a ketone sugar, or ketose. Very slight difference, different molecules, different types of sugar. Now, disaccharides are made from two monosaccharides that are joined together by dehydration synthesis. It's the same process that we did in class the other day when we showed how you could take a hydroxide from one molecule and a hydrogen from the other molecule and join them together, making a water molecule in the process. Common sugars like sucrose, lactose, and maltose are disaccharides. Sucrose is the common table sugar that we use every day when we put it on our Cheerios at breakfast, or put it in our iced tea, or make a batch of Kool-Aid. Lactose is milk sugar. It's the sugar that some people have difficulty digesting if they're lactose intolerant. Maltose is another common sugar that is a disaccharide that's found in lots of different things. Disaccharides are oftentimes sweeter than monosaccharides. So if you wanted to choose between glucose and sucrose to sweeten your iced tea, you would probably be happier with sucrose as a choice because it is a disaccharide and is therefore sweeter. This shows the process of two glucose molecules being added together or joined by dehydration synthesis to make maltose, which is a disaccharide. So here we have the two glucose molecules. Notice we have a hydroxyl group on the end of this one and a hydroxyl group on the end of this one. We're going to take the hydroxyl from this one and the hydrogen off of the hydroxyl group on this one and join those together to make water. When you take the hydroxyl and the hydrogen away, there leaves an open bond here on this carbon and an open bond on the oxygen, so they join together to make the disaccharide maltose. Now, long chains of monosaccharides are called polysaccharides. Poly means many, and this makes things like starches. Some of these are storage molecules like starch, animal starch, plant starch, glycogen. Glycogen is the animal starch, and we usually just call plant starch starch. The monosaccharides can be released from the starch as needed by the cells. There's a fairly simple hydrolysis reaction that can separate the monosaccharides from the big long chain. Other polysaccharides are structural molecules like cellulose and chitin. Cellulose is the main ingredient in plant cell walls, and what gives plants their structure. Most animals are unable to break down the linkages in the cellulose. Humans are specifically unable to do this. Some animals, like cows and other kinds of animals that eat grass and other kinds of plant material, have bacteria in their gut that are symbiotic. That means they live together and cooperate, that can help them break down the cellulose, and that will help them digest and get their nutrition from and their energy from this plant material that they eat, instead of having to eat other things as well. The second kind of structural molecule that's listed here is chitin. Chitin is a polysaccharide that is found in the cell walls of fungi and in the exoskeletons of arthropods like insects and crabs and shrimp. We'll talk more about these later on when we talk about these different groups of organisms. Here's a diagram that shows the change in the structure of these various polysaccharides and where you would find them in animals and plants. The starch granules in the potato cells are made of long chains of glucoses that are attached together end to end like this. They fit together in a certain way, relatively easy to break apart when you add water in the hydrolysis process. Glycogen is a starch made by animals. It's usually found in granules in muscle tissue. Similar to the other starch, although there are multiple chains that are attached together side to side like this, but we still have the end-to-end bonding between the monosaccharides. Cellulose, which is found in the plant fibers over here, notice the cellulose is put together in chains that are joined together by hydrogen bonds. This makes them much more stable and give the plant strength to hold up, but it does make it more difficult for animals to digest the plant material. This is the notes on carbohydrates, and make sure that you complete the Google document, the Google form, when you finish taking your notes on this unit.